Mr. Wahyu for introducing me, and also I very appreciate about this activity, and I'm honored also can share something on this event. Allow me to share screen, please. Okay. The screen is already see clearly?
Yes.
And also the voice?
Yep.
Okay.
Can hear clearly.
Okay, thank you. Good morning and good day for all to the participant. Now I will try to share electric vehicle and its component, mainly on the motor, inverter, and the battery. That's, I think, a very hot topic right now in Indonesia and also in the world. Yeah, so the presentation will be divided into 4 parts according to the organizer requirement. I think first part I will talk about the AV fundamental. In this part, I will share about how electric vehicle works compared to ICE. So right now, there is a very strong momentum for the growth of EV in the market, even during the pandemic. If you see the curve, I think the growth is like an exponential curve. So there are right now around 10 million electric cars in the world on the road. Yeah. And even in the pandemic situation, the growth is relatively high compared to other sectors. This is data from 2021 from IEA. And all is dominated by, you can see here, China, Europe, and United States. That's main adopter of the EV. And why there is good figure about the progress is because of the 3 main pillars. The first one is the supporting regulatory framework, and the second is additional incentive to protect EV sales, even from economic downturn condition. And also, last but not least, is the number of EV option and model is growing, and the battery prices cost and continue to fall. This is 3 main pillars that become fundamental of the electric car sales resilience, even during pandemic situation. So if we see about the future in our world, I think this is become a concern of many people in the world right now. So right now we are facing about the first wave, yeah, about the, let's say, first wave in a different perspective, is the COVID, yeah, COVID situation. This is considered is the first wave of disruption. And after that, we will face with the recession period. And the biggest one is we should face the challenge of the climate. This is, I think, now we are aware about this possible threat of our lives in Earth. So the topic right now is about the green recovery and sustainability issue. And one figure in the left, you can see here is, we see that I just the pointer first, okay? We see here the sample of the green recovery. This is the combination of renewable energy and the battery and the electric car. This is one of main contribution of green recovery for economic activity during recession and for tackling the climate change. So now we see about how about internal combustion itself characteristic. I will explore about 2 kinds of the ICE engine. One is the gasoline engine and the other is the diesel engine. For the gasoline engine, you can see here that for burning 1 kilogram fuel, it will deliver about here is 3.1 kilogram of carbon dioxide. So this is where the climate change is right now. That's right now is handle this very hard, yeah, to reduce the CO2 emission. So 1 kilogram also deliver 3.1 kilogram, so 1 times 3. And the other one is, you can see here the oxygen requirement. So why? Because we are now aware about our oxygen is very valuable gas, yeah, during the COVID. Here we can see that for burning 1 kilogram, we need 3.4 kilogram. So this is the pollutant side after combustion. This is the incoming side. So at least we are aware that we are now compete with internal combustion engine for using the natural resources and also for creating the pollutant. So you can see here that 1 times 3.4 and 1 times 3.1. This is not very understandable about the situation, but because right now oxygen is relatively free, yeah, for us. But for people who have COVID situation badly, I think very understand about the value of oxygen. So it means that this is should be considered also, that this is become our rival to use the natural resources in oxygen. Yeah, this is 1 kilo, 3.4. 1 kilo resulting 3.1 kilogram. If we analyze the requirement, I think we can compare about the human needs on oxygen. Humans only needs, according to the NASA study, is around 0.84 kilogram per day. So compared to 3.5 kilogram per oxygen per kilogram of fuel, it is nothing. Yeah, this is per kilogram, this is per day. So I think that's why maybe if we are in the middle of the internal combustion engine, I think we are also competing for oxygen use and also the pollutant aspect of the engine. This is for gasoline. And for the diesel, the condition, I think for burning 1 kilogram, we need 9.9. But the 9.9 oxygen will be released again 6.6. So there's around 3.3 kilogram also, 1 times 3. And the pollutants is also almost the same, 1 to 3.2 kilograms. So it is mean that this also pollutant with carbon dioxide, and the other is also sulfur content. And this is the diesel competition on oxygen and also in the emission. So if we talk about efficiency, we can compare to well-to-wheel efficiency. This is can be seen from this figure that if we use EV, at least we can have more bigger figure here compared to internal combustion engine. So in some reference, if we consider the better technology, I think we can see that even more bigger figure about the difference in efficiency. But if we use on the EV on the urban or also on the area of mainly use of the vehicle, we can see here the more detailed efficiency comparison. This is tank to wheel. If we consider tank to wheel, you can see here that the figure for the ICE, almost 76% become losses. We can only use minimal of the energy. But for the EV, we can use the maximal of the energy and the losses is minimal here. So even the capacity right now is the problem is the capacity of energy storage in fuel tank is more higher than capacity energy of the storage of the battery. But it is, I think, it will be solved in the near future. So this is why in the concept of tank to wheel and well to wheel efficiency. So we can at least here figure that at least two main things that in using the EV advantage. One is the pollution is very minimal, and the others is energy efficiency is more better. Yeah, and if we compare about the characteristic on motorcycle itself, I think this is relatively different situation with internal combustion engine. You can see from figure in the left side, here is the, when using the electric motor, the torque is available even in the zero speed. So it means the acceleration is very, very fast and good. Yeah. And compared to the ICE, the maximal torque only available in the rated RPM. So this is a very different characteristic of prime mover. So it means that why there is more efficient if we are using EV compared to the using ICE, even become better in the situation where many stop and go in the city. Yeah. So in the second topic, I will talk about the major components in EV. That's regarding the electric motors, inverter, PCU, DC-DC converter, and onboard charger. If you see the electric car components, you can see here that this is many components that integrate into one system. The main component is traction battery. I think this NBRI is very active use taking care of the battery side, and also the traction motors, and also the inverter and power control or power control unit, and also DC-DC converter, and the other things like the cooling system, auxiliary battery, onboard charger, and other things. Yeah. So this is the main EV car component. So the key components is relatively many related to the power electronics controller. Yeah. So the first differences in the component is in the driving itself. So they are using two kind of motor for the EV. One is the asynchronous one that mainly in squirrel cage. This is the previous used by Tesla. And now is very popular using the synchronous one with permanent magnet or with reluctance motor. This is all the motor that will be used in the future. Yeah, compared to the AC induction is also still progressing, but the technology is relatively mature for this. And the new one is combination of the permanent magnet and reluctance motor. So this is the identified candidate entrance for EV motor propulsion. You can see here the baseline for right now condition is mainly using permanent magnet base. But why? Because permanent magnet has two sources of energy input, one from the external, from the battery, and the other is from the permanent magnet itself. But due to the limitation of rare earth and also the condition that mainly held by China, there's many ways right now to reduce the usage of the permanent magnet. So the induction is also one candidate, and switch reluctance, and the latest one is combination with reluctance and magnetic is synchronous reluctance or PM synchronous reluctance machine. This is the trends and future of the electric motor used in EV. If we see the US DOE targets benchmarking, US DOE have target for the 2020, the target for the total traction drive system is around the $8 per kilowatt, but right now still misses the target. Yeah, right now is still here. The traction drive means combined motor and power electronic system. And the trend for the motor using in EV is in the higher speed, above 20 RPM. So why? Because it will reduce the material and also the weight and also better efficiency. And if we compare the why right now is many EV motor using more minimal permanent magnet, we can see here in the figure from the DOE report. They are compare two types of motor using, they compare as a benchmark is Nissan Leaf motor that using a permanent magnet for the rated of around 80 kilowatts and the mass around 55.9 kilogram. You can see here the component of the electric motor itself. The permanent magnet is only 3% of the mass, but the cost is around 53%. So that's why now many researchers find new motors to propel the vehicle using minimal permanent magnet. This is the challenge is beside the economic cost is also the strategic condition that mainly acquired by China only. The target for the cost of specific cost of the motor is relatively low, only $4.7 per kilowatt. Yeah. So no, we can see in this figure is why right now also trend is to going to higher speed. Yeah, because if we compare two motor with two different characteristics, you can see here this is for low speed, this is for high speed. It will reduce the rotor mass relatively big. Yeah, with low speed Leaf motor 16 kilograms, and with high speed we can reduce to only 5.6 kilograms. Yeah, and volume also will be reduced drastically. So that's why right now the many EV maker try to use more higher speed motor, and for matching the torque versus speed we can use 1 or 2 level transmission. So this is the state of the art of the latest technology that used in the Tesla Model 3. Yeah, I will speed up this presentation. This is using SynRM. So they replace the induction one with the SynRM. Yeah. So they use minimal magnetic. Yeah, compare the previous one using the induction motor, the efficiency is more better and have a good performance in high speed. Yeah. And in ITB, we also develop permanent magnet for medium bus. This is 120 kilowatts that we are funding from Ministry of Finance, LPDP from Ministry of Finance for 3 years period until 2022. We developed the propulsion for medium bus. This is 120 kilowatt. Yeah, and also we developed the inverter. Yeah, and this is we also developed the non-magnetic motor. Yeah, we use sweet reluctance 5 kilowatt motor that will propel tricycle and also motorcycle. This is 5 kilowatt without permanent magnet. Yeah, this is ITB task and contribution to develop of the one of the key component. Two. Yeah, the motor and the inverters. And if we talk about the sizing for fine right electric motor, we should consider first the driving cycle. This is relatively different when we go urban and extra-urban. And if we go urban, I think the limited speed, but extra-urban may be more higher speed. If we know the cycle, we can design the right size of the motor without oversizing. It means we will reduce the energy requirement from the battery. So Usually the performance of the motor will be mapped, yeah, according to torque and characteristic and efficiency. And we should operate the motor in the red zone that have the maximum efficiency. This is about the traction system of the EV. And if we further explore about the characteristic, this is the best of the electric motor compared to ICE. They have constant torque region from 0 until base speed, and also constant power region from base speed until maximum speed. So this characteristic is very ideal for traction application compared to the ICE that only have limited constant power region. So if we want to see about the requirement of the power of electric motor, we can see about this curve. Yeah, if we just only in the city driving, for typical city driving, and the speed is only average on only in around 50 km/h, I think the drive of the electric motor is only enough only in below 40 kilowatts. So this is very low compared to the internal combustion engine that using mainly around more than 60, yeah, more than 60 about the even in for the LCGC. So this will be more efficient for energy needs. And if we want to see the more bigger figure about the system itself, we can see here that electric motor and traction inverter become one system, and high voltage lithium battery one system, and onboard charger is one system, and the other is controller for the this system, and also auxiliary. This is mainly the all power blocks within an EV system. And for this school, I will just limit it on the main component around motor, inverter, and DC-DC, and also a little bit on onboard charger. And for the controlling of the motor, we need power control unit or inverter. What is the function of inverter? Mainly to convert the DC power from the battery to the AC with a higher frequency, because we need, this is higher speed. So we cannot use like industrial or home frequency 50 hertz, but we use more than that. At least we need more than 500 hertz. So it means that like in the military application, we need more higher speed so we can reduce the weight of the motor and also the vehicle, and also reduce the energy consumption. The function is to convert the DC to AC to power the motor with variable speed. This is the inverter block that mainly power electronics component. And this is the typical architecture of the system, mainly using, this is the inverter block, power inverter block, and this is the relatively the controller side. This is, I think, we already work with this model with PT LAN industry. And for motor, we work with PT Pindad. Yeah. And this is the inverter from Denso that used in the Toyota cars. It will need many integrated discipline, multi-discipline. You can see here that this is the electronic, software and control, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and also last but not least, the material of the system itself. Yeah. And this is the DC-DC converter for converting the DC voltage level, one voltage to level to another voltage level, even high to low or low to high, to power the auxiliary battery, yeah, that relatively still in the low voltage condition. And this is the onboard charger that used for charging or for inputting energy to the battery from the grid. So this is also power electronics converter. So this is, I think, the main component of the EV itself. And in the third part, I will talk about type of EV and its performance. So the automotive industry challenge right now is to finding the right blend of the performance, utility, efficiency, and emission and costs. Why? Because they optimize this. This is the data taken from the Germany research that majority of the vehicle, unfortunately, is not in use. So park mainly of the vehicle times. This is drive only 35 hours per year, and service efficiency also very low, and also park efficiency is also low. Why? Because there is not enough parking space, difficult to find parking space. So this is about the vehicle itself. So that's why this vehicle condition right now triggering the mobility service like Grab, Gojek, and other things. Yeah. And from ICE to EV, there is a multi-pathways. So call it here is multi-pathway from ICE to XEV. X mean it can be hybrid, can be plug-in, can be BEV, and also can be fuel cell electric vehicle. This is, they call it the electrified vehicle. So it depends only the combination of energy source and the engine. Here is a hybrid vehicle. The battery is small. The engine is still mainly dominant. And in the plug-in hybrid, the size of the battery increasing. The engine relatively can be more lower because the battery is relatively bigger than hybrid, usually around 8.8 kilowatt hours, and for hybrid around 1.4 kilowatt hours. So this is the EV range for better than hybrid. And in BEV, the total internal combustion engine is replaced by the electric motor, and the battery size is bigger. So this is the evolution of from ICE to XEV. And also the latest one is using the hydrogen. Even they still use the battery, pack here, but the hydrogen can handle as filling the gas is very short because the obstacle of the battery EV is the charging time. Even in the fast charging is also still needs around 30 minutes more higher than compared to filling of the gasoline. And the comparison performance, you can see here about the propulsion, energy system, energy sources, infrastructure, and characteristic and major issue. Why they have multi-pathway? Because right now the battery technology is still evolving, especially in the energy density and the power density and the price, and also in the charging time, So this is the transition technology from hybrid to FCEV. This is the characteristic of the comparison characteristic, but all is in the same direction to reduce efficiency and also to increase to reduce emission and also to increase efficiency. So that's combined the both world of the environment. And for Indonesia, we should also consider about the many technology because we have target to reduce emission using our NDC target and with international help. That's become our government commitment. And if we use and if we see also about lifetime of GHG, greenhouse gas, we can see here that a conventional petrol vehicle is higher compared to BEV, and this is the figure. And if we look further about the alternative ways to have mobility, we can see here the option. The option comes from very, very affordable, a bicycle. This is very efficient way to commute, even also very healthy way. So this is, I think, if we go to electric, I think the first one we can use for, especially for younger people, for millennial people, they can use a bicycle. A bicycle have the battery is around half of kilowatt hour. Then they can have a range around 80 kilometers. So more bigger even compared to electric scooter. Yeah, electric scooter 1 kilowatt hours is below 50 kilometers. The next one is electric scooter. And the mid-size gasoline, even the figure is almost 5 times in tank to wheel. Yeah. And you can see here, and hybrid is also better compared to the internal combustion. Yeah, but plug-in hybrids more better, and BEV is better also. So this is the, if we find a way for mobility in the future, we should look about this study result, because this is already published, and we can afford to buy a bicycle right now. It is very efficient and very healthy for the next generation, I think. And if we see Indonesian market, why we should start first the two-wheeler, this condition is like this. You can see here the figure, if in the left-hand side, you can see the motorcycles is more than 100 million units. In 2020, the figure is more than 120 million unit motorcycle. So this is condition is in our transportation. Why? Because our public transportation is not so good as in developed countries, yeah, or advanced countries. So this is private transportation dominated. This is the characteristic of our market in Indonesia. And then the vehicle four-wheelers is around total around 20 million. So this is the market. And if we see the ratio of ownership in vehicle, Indonesia relatively is still very low. So it means if our economic grow, I think the vehicle will be increased. Yeah, also the motorcycle. So if we see the Asia map, Indonesia is largest market in ASEAN and number 5 in Asia after South Korea. But the ratio is still low, yeah, 99 per 1,000 population. It's very low, even in the ASEAN. Yeah, we are higher than Vietnam. But for our neighbor, I think we are still low. We are higher than Vietnam and Philippines. But last but not least, we should also consider about our GDP. Our GDP right now is around 4,000 US. So this is our buying power for EV. I think still is for four-wheeler is still limited below 300 million rupiah below. That will be affordable by Indonesia. Right now, the cheapest cost of EV in Indonesia is from Hyundai is around 600 million euro. This middle up class, so cannot afford that vehicle because the battery cost is still higher, and the affordable ones is in the motorcycle. Yeah, this is, and we also should consider our endowment in energy. This is beside of we have a rich in nickel for the battery. We also have the bio potential energy. This is why the government pushing biodiesel, biogasoline, and bioaftur, yeah, to use our biodiversity situation. This is Indonesian, I think, have very rich in energy sources. Even if we can optimize the photovoltaic using the battery, this is right now become our government priority for energy transition. And issue about the e-mobility market penetration issue is in this issue. The one is lack of charging, lack of appropriate EV types, and capital cost EV is still higher. And also operational change impact, like we use cellular phones, we should charge every night. Yeah, and also our capacity of the utility in the home should be upgraded. And the last but not least, also the policy. So that's obstacle to adopt the top five barrier adoption of the EV. Yeah, this is the situation right now. And regarding the type of the battery used in EV, I think this is the NBRI expert is very deep in this field. So I just see on the user sides. Yeah, if we see about our picture on the technology state of the art of the battery, there are still three categories: this lead-based technology, alkaline technology, and lithium-ion technology. And the lithium-ion technology right now is a transition between Gen 3, Gen 2 to Gen 3, A and B. Right now, Toyota is already launching the solid state, the battery. So the battery will be very strategic in the future because we have abundance of nickel resource, like Prof. Evi said that. And also the technology and the research in the battery is very advanced. And right now, if we talk about the battery, there is only limited player. Yeah, the flag is majority only 6 flag. Yeah, very few compared to the fossil fuel. OPEC still many flags, more than 10. But if the battery, the flag is only relatively 6 flag. Yeah, it dominated mainly in Asia by China, Korea, Japan, and the others Europe and the US. Yeah, so that's I think the status of the battery. And the good things about the battery is right now the life cycle is increasing. So this will change about the battery from component point of view to the asset point of view. Why? Because this is maybe become a factor to see the EV not in the conventional business model, but we should also see whole time TCO. Why? Because the lifetime right now is increasing from 3,500 full cycle equivalent to 10,000. It means the lifetime will be increased from 10 years calendar life until 15 to 25 years. So that's why right now the producer of the EV guarantee the battery minimal 7 years. Yeah, the lifetime of the battery will be guaranteed minimal 7 years. But in the future, maybe we can look more longer. Why? Because the battery can be seen as an asset to repurposing or reuse. The efficiency is also increasing. So this is the technology in the energy density, power density, and the lifetime. This is the important characteristic. And if we see about the type, mainly we can see the figure here. So at least we are see here about the view of from the outside. Yeah. So we can optimize the use of the battery according to our needs. If we want to talk about the low cost, specific power and safety, maybe we can consider lithium ferrophosphate. And also, if we want to consider the energy capacity and other things, maybe in the next we can consider NMC. Yeah, this is good also for Indonesia because we are rich in nickel. And if we want to consider the lifespan, we can consider LTO. Yeah, this is titanium oxide. This is mainly used for the aircraft application. So this is alternative of the battery used for EV. And right now, the trend for the battery is changing from component to asset, because we should consider using second life of the battery. So this is from Renault that already say that for the mobility, this can be last for at least 10 years. So the battery 10 years for the mobility application, the capacity will reduce until 70 to 75%. But for the Toyota solid state, they can guarantee this is can reduce only until 90%. Sorry, yeah, still 90%. And after that, we can use for other service or other purpose. This is usually can be used for 5 to 10 years more on renewable energy storage. Then after that, they will be recycling. So this will be attractive, sustainable solution, because we are with this. I think we can reduce our mining activity. Yeah, so burden from the environment will also be reduced, and also the price will be dropped. So because the study from Bloomberg showed that if we can reuse the battery, we can reduce the cost is relatively 76%. This is one of our attractive and sustainable solution. And this is the result is reduced consumption of resources, smart grid and energy renewable energy will be boost, and also increase zero emission vehicle on the market, because the battery business will be decoupled from the vehicle business, like for motorcycle introduced in Jakarta right now. Yeah. And this is option second life can be used as the energy storage system in the decentralized energy storage using solar, PV, and wind. Yeah. And for the business model, I think this will be very long-term business. So this can be in the renewable energy storage, grid stabilization, power backup, and also for charging mobile EV. Yeah. Jadi, so that this is the situation can be the business model can be enhanced. Yeah. And when the recycling business become attractive, this is the report from IEA also. Starting 2025, the capacity for recycling or repurposing available around below 20 gigawatt hour per year, but in the 2030, the recycling business will be very big, yeah, because at that time maybe the battery cost is already down and the EV growth exponentially. This is also matched with the stated policy and the sustainable development scenario. Right now, this has become a big concern from all over the world is the sustainable development scenario. And the key challenges for the battery recycling is four aspects. One is the regulation, challenges in recovering key metals due to different material used in the battery, and also lack of standardization in battery chemistry, and also the other thing is unpredictable lifetime of second-use battery. So battery is also not as simple as the assumed by the general people. Yeah, this is a lithium battery is very different characteristic, non-linear characteristic, and also relatively dynamic characteristic according to the management of the load that attached to them. I think this will conclude my presentation. I come back again to the moderator, Mr. Wahyu. Thanks for the opportunity for sharing in this school.